Today let us discuss on the main development in case of SFCC software. It is not a open source and even it is not a downloadable. The software is not a open source. It is not even downloadable. SFCC software is not a downloadable. It's not a open source. It's not a downloadable. You cannot install SFCC software in the local system. We cannot install SFCC software in the local system. SFCC software is cloud-based software as a platform. SFCC is in the cloud. Software as a platform. Software as a platform in the cloud. We need to upload the code into the cloud and you need to run there. Please observe. Developing a code in the local system, upload the code into the cloud, upload the code into the cloud, then run there. So code will be developing in the local system and finally uploading to cloud to run. We are developing a code. We are developing a code in the local system, finally uploading into the cloud to run. To connect to SFCC software in the cloud, we should have a login. To connect to SFCC software in the cloud, we should have a login. This login is called as a sandbox. Something like a sandbox login. Most of the people keep discussing about sandbox login. Once you have a sandbox login, then you can upload your code into the cloud to run. SFCC software running in the cloud, you can upload your code to the cloud wherever SFCC is running. Inside that SFCC runtime environment, your code will be run. To access this, you require a sandbox login. The sandbox login is not a free. not a free, it's more expensive. So other companies or clients will be vary. You will be getting a login from the client. Client will be bearing this login cost. There is a setup for the login. So I'll be showing that setup later. What is the setup required for the sandbox login? That portion I will be showing you later. So I have already sandbox login. I'll just enter with the sandbox login. How to create a login account, how it should be configured, that I'll show you later. Please observe. So very simple. It's already configured. I'm using configured one. Please observe. I'll show you how we can create login account. One message will be sending to the mobile. We need to approve from the mobile. Then only login will be success. Even from VS Code also, you had to connect to the sandbox while uploading a code. While uploading a code, you need to specify login information of the sandbox. Login information of the sandbox. Finally, we logged into the sandbox. Please observe UI way of configuration. If you want to configure something through UI, you can perform from here. Any UI ways. We will be doing lot of UI based configuration that we will be doing from here. What are the steps we have to do in the UI based configuration, that I'll show you afterwards. Now we are able to log into the sandbox through username and password whatever provided by the company. Same information, everybody, the same information we had to provide to the VS Code also. Let us consider, I'm creating one directory for the development purpose. SFCC August 2nd batch. In this folder, I want to develop a code. That code should be submitted to SFCC software which is running in the cloud through Sandbox login. How we can do? Whatever username and password we got from the company to make use of Sandbox, same username and password should be provided while submitting a code. For that purpose, we need to develop one JSON file. Let me open edit plus normal text, file new normal text, save it. You can choose the location, whatever folder you have created just now. This is the folder I have created. You had to go for dw.json. Keep under double quotes. dw.json. It is mainly for providing username and password to connect to SFCC software. Here you need to provide main your credentials in the JSON object type. These are the parameters parameters required for authentication purpose. This host name, it's one URL which is allocated to your sandbox. This is the URL. This URL, some portion varying from one sandbox to another sandbox. This is the like a destination to where you are trying to connect. Then, what are the username and passwords, and what could be the code version? I'll show you this also. Code version can be created in the UI based sandbox login. Remember, this is the host name. In this host name, initial portion only changing. This may be like a common for all the sandboxes. This is the username. This is the password. This is the code version. With this data, we can start interacting to SFCC cloud. But here, for every SFCC project, there should be some base code. For every SFCC project, there should be some base code. Even Spring Boot project also having base code. All framework-based projects will have a base code. SFCC also a framework having some base code. You need to get that base code. That base code from where you will be getting how you can clone into local system. That portion I will be showing separately. I will be cloning base code from one of the GitHub repo. For base code purpose, I'm just cloning with a git bash here. I will be sharing this type of code to you also. You can just get this code from the GitHub. In the next classes, you can also do parallelly with me. For any framework-based projects, for any framework-based projects, we require base code. Even for Spring Boot project also, we are getting a base code from the Spring Initializer. Likewise, I'm just cloning base code. From where you will be getting this base code that I'll show you in other sessions. Now, we got a folder, this dw.json should be inside this folder. I'm just dragging this. So inside a base code folder, you keep your dw.json inside a base code folder. So here two folders are there. Two different ways of developing SFCC projects. There are two different ways of developing SFCC projects. One is by using site genesis. Second one, storefront reference architecture. These two different ways you can use. For site genesis, whatever base code. The second one, you can also call like SFRA, storefront reference architecture. So initially we'll go for site genesis way of developing a code to the SFCC projects. Later we can see storefront. Now this is the main location where base code is available. In the base code location only, our dw.json also available. dw.json is option. Now open from here the command prompt cmd open a command prompt from the place where your base code is there and even dw.json is there. Base code and dw.json. From this location, we've opened a command prompt. This is the command prompt. So try opening VS Code. In the last session, we have seen installing of VS Code. VS space dot. So inside a VS Code, you can see site genesis folder, storefront reference architecture folder, dw.json. Now, you can develop something in the site genesis, then upload the same to Sandbox runtime environment, then you can able to run. First, let me develop one simple hello world inside a site genesis base code. Then we will upload to the cloud environment, then we can run. Please observe, initially we will be using site genesis type of SFCC projects. Later we'll move to the storefront. So what are the differences you will come to know. Don't worry, today itself. Expand on site genesis. So here lot of folders are there, lot of files. All these are base code. We didn't develop, we copied it. Please observe, we copied from the Salesforce itself. They only providing base code. That base code we have to use. In this base code, lot of folders and files are there. Definitely you may be getting confusion today itself. Don't worry anything. Just to consider only two things. First two things. One is a controller. Second one is a core. One is a controller. Second one is a storefront core. Inside a controller, we will be developing controllers for our request. Then inside a storefront core, we will be developing mainly templates, UI, views. Let us develop one simple controller. Expand app storefront controllers. Inside a app storefront controllers, you can find a cartridge. Expand this cartridge. Inside a cartridge, you can find the controllers. Expand these controllers. These are the existing controllers. All are JavaScript files. In case of SFCC, controllers are developing through JavaScript syntax. Controllers are developing through JavaScript syntax. There are several built-in controllers available. We can develop our controller for a simple hello world purpose. Right click on controllers, go to the new file. Right click on controllers, go to new file. I'm choosing a file name as hello.js. This file should be starting with uppercase hello.js. Inside this JS, you can develop any number of JavaScript functions and you can assign those functions to customer URLs. This is one controller. Inside this controller, you can develop any number of JavaScript functions. Those functions can be assigned to customer URLs. Customer can make a call to any of the JavaScript function through the URL assignment. Please observe controller's development location. In the base code, you can find site genesis, app storefront controllers, then cartridges, then controllers. Inside a controllers, you can develop JavaScript file for controlling purpose. JavaScript file, hello.js, abc.js, anything, keep a first letter in the uppercase. Then inside this, you can develop any number of functions you know already. You can just develop like any number of functions. And you can even call the functions same way. I will be developing some functions. I will assign that functions to customer URLs. Let us see. I just copied some of the existing code. Please observe. One JavaScript function, same function assigning to one URL of the customer. Please observe everybody. Test1 is a function name. I'm assigning test1 to the customer's get request. First observe here, exports sample1. I'm trying to export something through sample1. On, I'm trying to export something through sample1. What I'm trying to export? Test1 I'm exporting to the get callers in the HTTPS environment. I'm exporting through one URL. I'm exporting through one URL. I'm giving a URL name as a sample1. For this URL, what I'm trying to export? For this URL, we are ensuring like test1 function through get request in the HTTPS environment. Then there is a test1 function. For this test1 function, we need to develop one template. This is the template. So this template should be inside a hub. Very simple. You can treat this as a controller. It is controlling our request and sending to the template. This is the template. This is the URL which is using by customer. For this URL, this is the function. Inside this function, this is the template. Please observe, this is the URL. For this URL, this is the JavaScript function. Inside this JavaScript function, this is the template. So here, we are using app and guard. App should be imported and even guard also should be imported. While assigning URL to the function, we require a guard. Then, while specifying a template, we require an app. Both we are importing here. Both we are importing. App is there, guard is there. Please observe. This is one JavaScript function. This is another JavaScript. Sorry. This is one JavaScript file. This is another JavaScript file. In this JavaScript file, getView is developed. In this JavaScript file, ensure is developed. Please observe. Everybody, test1 is a JavaScript function. This test1 syntactically assigning to one URL. Please observe. There is a procedure of assigning JavaScript function to the URL. They provided that procedure, that is this one. Syntactically we are assigning JavaScript function to this particular URL. Inside a JavaScript function, we are assigning one template. This is the template development. You need to develop this template. That portion I will show you later. So to develop this much code, we are using two JavaScript files. One is a app file and the guard file. Several JavaScript files are already developed in the SFCC. We are using straight away. One is a app, second one is a guard. One is a app, second one is guard. So please observe, this is one JavaScript file which is already available. This is another JavaScript file. This is also already available. App is available, God also available. This both are available in the scripts folder. Scripts folder available in the cartridge. This cartridge folder available parent to the current. This tilde is representing a parent here. You can see this is the controllers folder. From the controllers folder, go to the cartridge. Observe everybody. From the controllers folder, go to the cartridge. Inside a cartridge, let me close the controllers. Yeah. Inside a cartridge, there is a script. Scripts. Expand the scripts. From the controllers, go to the cartridge. Come on. Then go to the script. Inside a scripts folder. Come on, guys. Inside a scripts folder, there is a app.js. This is the app. You can see app.js. This is the guard. You can see guard.js. These two files we are importing. Come on, guys. These two files we are importing. App.js, guard.js. So the framework makes a lot of built-ins will be. SFCC, it is also a kind of framework. Lot of built-ins are there. App is a JS file which contains lot of built-ins. Guard also one JS file. It is also containing lot of built-ins. Inside an app, get view. Inside a guard, ensure. So this much code we are developing. Then coming to the first one, use strict. Use strict. This is like a strictly specified. Don't use variable without a declaration. You need to declare a variable before usage. Declare the variable before usage. Use strict. Use strict. In the ECMAScript file, a new feature is introduced. In the JavaScript file, if you mention like this, then variable cannot be used without declaration. Variable cannot be used without declaration. For that purpose, we will be using this. You will be knowing more about strict later. We are just specifying like in this file, no variable can be used without declaration. No variable can be used without declaration. Then two JavaScript files imported. Then we are defining one function. In that function, we are specifying this particular function assigning to this URL. Come on. This much you have to develop in the controller. Now try developing template. Come to another location, guys. These are the controllers in the cartridge. In the controllers cartridge, there is a storefront code. Expand storefront code. In the storefront code, there is a cartridge. Expand the cartridge. Inside a cartridge, there is a templates. Expand the templates. Inside a templates, you can find a default. Inside a templates, you can find a default. Inside a default, try creating a hello folder. Inside that hello world one. Right click on default folder. Go to the new folder. Try creating a folder with a name as hello world. Sorry, hello. This is the folder in the default. After creating a folder, you need to define one template. Right click on hello folder, go to the new file, go to the new file. The file name should be hello world 1. The extension should be dot ISML, like a HTML. This is the new extension ISML. It is almost like a HTML file only, but it is demandware specific. Any HTML file can be saved as a .isml here. In the demandware, all templates like a UI, view files, UI files, view files, ISML. It is similar to HTML. Any HTML tag can be used here. Any HTML tag can be used. If it is a ISML, you can develop some kind of simple programming like a variable declarations, conditional statements, loops. If it is a plain HTML, you cannot use variable declaration, you cannot use conditional statements, you cannot use loops. So here you can able to declare a variable, you can use conditional statements, you can use the loops, ISML. So any HTML tag can be used. I'm just using one H1 tag. Please observe it is a HTML file. Every tag of HTML holds will be over here. In addition to that, we can use ISML tags mainly for conditional statements and loops. The people who ever known already JSP, those people, you know, like a JSP scripting elements, those can be used in the HTML. Similarly, ISML having some set of tags, those tags we will be using. As of now, I am using only plain HTML. So template development got over. Come on, guys. So totally two things we have done. One is we developed a controller. We developed a controller. Where we developed the controller? Come on. Inside the controllers, cartridge controllers, hello.js. Where it is? In the hello.js, we try to develop one URL with the name as sample1. For this URL, we call to this URL assigning a function test1. Inside the body of the test1, inside the body of the test1, we are assigning one template. Hello, I am creating one folder to develop a one ISML file. We should not use extension over here, just the name of the file. Folder, name of the file. Come to this folder, develop this file. And this folder should be in the default folder in the second cartridge. Please observe. In the site Genesis, you can find App Storefront code, cartridge, templates, templates. Inside the templates, you can find default. Inside the default, we developed a folder hello. We developed a folder hello. Please observe in the default only we should develop. Here we are using hello. It should be developed hello. Then hello world 1. Hello world 1. That's all. This code should be uploaded to the sandbox. How this code can be uploaded to the sandbox? Open the sandbox UI. Session got expired. We need to re-log in. So here, everybody, we need to do some setup. Before uploading our code, a small setup is required. Come to the administration. In this administration, site import and export. Everybody, under administration, try using site import and export. Click on this. Come to the bottom. We are trying to develop site genesis demo. Like our project is a site genesis type. That is why we have to select this one. Then click on import. We are importing site genesis base code into our sandbox. Click OK. Yes. Now you can go to the in this drop down you can see site genesis. Select the site genesis. This will be displaying all the sites. We imported site genesis. Click on this. Now we can click on administration, manage sites. Click on administration, manage sites. You can find site genesis. Click on this one. Under settings, you can see general tab. There is a settings tab. Click on settings tab. What are the cartridges from your development? You need to change this cartridge names. In our application, we use the cartridges under site genesis. Two cartridges. One is App Storefront Controller. Second one is App Storefront Core. First, let me copy this one. Control C. Colon. Colon is a separator. The second one is App Storefront Core. So cartridges are nothing but where we develop the code. Two places. Click on apply. I'll show you once again all the things. Everybody, first and foremost one, administration, site import and export. Administration, site import and export. Come to the down. You need to import site genesis demo. Click on this and click on import. This is the first step. As our code is site genesis type, in the sandbox also, you need to configure site genesis. You need to import the site genesis in your sandbox. The second one, maybe you can choose here what are the sites available. Once you import, you can see the site genesis here. Once you import, you can see all the sites. You can select the site genesis. Once imported, it will be available in the drop down. Yes. You can just select this one. Assume this as a second step. Then the third step, come to the administration. Administration. Manage sites. Administration. Manage sites. Click on site genesis. Click on site genesis. We are trying to manage one site genesis. By default, we are getting a general tab. Next to the there is a settings tab. Under settings tab, you need to specify your code folders. The code folders are called as a cartridges. What are the code folders? One is the App Storefront controllers. Second one is App Storefront code. Both we are keeping over here by using colon as a separator. Then click on apply. Click on apply. The next one, version. You can configure any number of versions. Let us see administration, everybody. Administration, code development, administration, code development. In the code development, you can see different code versions. You can create a new code version as well if you want to. How to create a new code version? You can see add, click on add. You can give any new name. I'm just choosing Ramesh 1. Click on apply. Very simple guys. Administration, code deployment. Once you click on code deployment, it is showing versions. If you want to create a version, click on add and apply. Now I created a Ramesh 1. For this Ramesh 1, so right side there is a activate. Click on activate. Click OK. Now Ramesh 1 will be activated. You can see there is a tick mark here. Ramesh 1 got activated. Now you can submit code with a version as a Ramesh 1. Come to the VS Code. In the VS Code, open dw.json. See code version earlier I was using Ramesh. Now it should be Ramesh 1. Save it. So total server side, client side completely configured. Now left side Prophet. Yesterday I showed you to install Prophet. Click on this Prophet. You can see cartridges. Cartridges. Left side red refresh button. This is the button which is used for uploading a code. Cartridges. Then just to click on this red button, red refresh icon. You can see right side uploading our code. Whatever code we develop, that code is uploading into Ramesh 1 version. Uploading is got over. Open this UI. You can see like a storefront. Click on the storefront. So in the storefront, in the same URL, you have to use sample one. Before sample one, you have to use hello. Hello is a page. Sorry, hello is a controller name. Hello.js. Hello hyphen sample one. Go to the browser address bar. Go to the end in the browser address bar. After clicking on storefront, go to the browser address bar. In the browser address bar, slash default. You have to type this one. Earlier default was not there. At the end, slash default slash hello hyphen sample one. Hello is a JavaScript file name. Sample one is a URL. Hyphen. This is like a standard procedure. Hello is a JavaScript file name. Sample one is a the URL. Press enter. You can see hello SFCC. This is from a template. The template is calling from the JavaScript function. The JavaScript function is assigned to one URL. This is a simple hello world development in the SFCC.